2025 is here. Do you want to start your drawing journey? Or have you spent countless hours studying art but are getting minimal improvements? Well, just by watching this video, you will not get better at art. You need to actually draw. But just drawing mindlessly is not the best way to improve. So, in this video, I'll walk you through the 7 strategies that I learned while learning art to improve my art from this to this in 6 months. Hi, I'm Koi, and 6 months ago I began my art journey. I was a real art noob, no experience, no degree, no nothing. But over the past 6 months, I've committed myself to self-studying art, using only free resources like YouTube tutorials, studying photos and artworks, or chat backseating me because I streamed everything, totaling over 750 hours of art study by now. I'd say that I've had decent improvements, but you can be the judge of that by applying these 7 general strategies of learning art. So, if you want to start your art journey or improve your learning strategies, get your notes ready and let's dive right in. A common mistake artists make when learning how to draw is not having goals and objectives. Let's begin with your art goal and keep it simple. If you could steal the arting skills of 3 artists right now, who would it be? Pause and note that down. Next, observe their artworks closely and list 3 things you admire from their art. That is 3 things overall, not 3 things per artist. Keep it simple. It can be anything you like. For example, beautiful characters, amazing environment art, cool mech designs, creepy monsters, or cute animals. Done? Those are your goals. Now from those 3 things, break down what elements you need to learn to achieve each goal. I can't guide you exactly what these things are, but I'll give you an example so you have a picture. My goal was to draw beautiful anime characters, and these are the element breakdowns: hair, eyes, face, torso, limbs, hands, and so on. You can list down as many as you want, but I suggest keeping it to 5 for each goal. Done? Those are your objectives. These goals and objectives will give you a clear direction to learn towards. But what about the fundamentals? I'll share my thoughts on that later. Just bear with me for now. So now that we have our goals and objectives, how do we actually study? I'll keep this section brief because this video is about learning art as a whole, not specific methods to study art. Plus, there are tons of art teachers and channels more qualified than me to teach this topic. Anyway, here are the ones I've used. Number 1. Following tutorials. I'm sure I don't need to explain this method. This is the most straightforward method so far. Just follow the tutorial. There are tons of free tutorials online like YouTube videos or step-by-step visual instructions made by artists on social media. Number 2. Tracing as a study. Tracing is when you draw lines over photos or other artists' art. This is a great way to break things down into simpler lines, which would make it easier for you to learn the elements you want to learn, such as line weight, shape language, proportions, construction, and so on. It is okay to trace to study, but it is not okay to trace and then claim the result as yours. Number 3. Copy drawing. Unlike tracing, you recreate other artists' artwork on your own, not drawing on top of them. This is a great method to steal other artists' charms, techniques, and style. Just like tracing, it is not okay to do this to create an art that you claim as yours. Number 4. Photo reference. Same method as the previous one, except now you are using photos instead of artworks. Arguably a bit more complex because you need to break down the photos and adopt them into your own style. Number 5. Drawing from imagination. Probably the toughest method, but a good practice to absorb what you have studied and build a solid visual library. Plus, it's very fun because there are no bounds to your imagination. Here's the important step. After each study, review them. Make a note on what you did good, what you did bad, and what do you want to do next. Keep in mind that if things are not clicking for a while, keep changing the way you study and what you study. Don't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. So now you know how to study art. But why stop here? Just studying isn't enough. You also need to Imagine you want to be a chef. Every day you read books on cooking or recipes or whatever it is chefs read. However, that's all you ever do. You never actually cook. What do you think? Surely you agree that that's not the best way to get better at cooking. To me, that's what doing art studies without cooking is like. And what I mean by cooking here is creating your own artwork. Cooking means you are creating something completely new and original. A painting of your vision, ideas, thoughts, or feelings. But that does not mean you can't use references. It's just that you're not heavily copying from one. Here's a simple example. I want to draw this character with this pose using this outfit, and bam, there's the final result. As you can see, this is different from studies because I'm mixing multiple elements, taking and stylizing them to paint my vision. Remember, to steal from one is plagiarism, to steal from many is art. And I stole that quote, by the way. Cooking is important for multiple reasons. It allows you to build and practice your workflow of cooking art. It gives you a chance to express your ideas and creativity, and it shows you your strengths and weaknesses. I'll explain more about this in the next section. But before that, side note. Personally, I spend at least 1 day per week to cook. That is about 5:1 ratio of study to cooking. Decide how much time you want to dedicate to each cooking session. And honestly, this is really up to you, but I recommend spending about 2 to 20 hours total for each illustration. That's total, not consecutive. Especially if you are a beginner, do not spend too much time on one artwork, trying to fix all mistakes and make everything perfect. Don't waste your time. Make the mistakes, learn from them, move on. And that brings us to the next step. After cooking, you need to have a taste test. Now let's talk about reviewing. Once you've cooked some delectable art, you need to give them a taste. Decide whether you cooked or were cooked. Is it the kind of dishes you want to make? What should you make next? Maybe even, what do others think of it? Every once in a while, let's say every week or month, you want to review your art journey as a whole. Compare the art you've made recently with the ones you've made previously, like last week or last month. And do these 3 things. First, identify your strengths. Look at what has progressed well in your art and what have you gotten better at drawing. Which objectives have you achieved? Remember the objectives we set in section 1? And then celebrate. Pat yourself on the back for the progress that you have made because you deserve it. Second, identify your weaknesses. Now look at what has not progressed well and decide what to do with it. Think about changing your study approach or maybe try using a different method of drawing. Try to come up with a tactic to get over these challenges, but don't beat yourself up. Third, update your objectives or even long-term goals. For the objectives that you have tried to accomplish but haven't, decide whether you want to keep trying or move on for now. For the completed objectives, decide which one to learn next and see if you can come up with new objectives. For your long-term goals, see if you want to update them. Maybe you found a new artist or art style that you want to learn, or maybe you've realized that you enjoy environment concept art as opposed to drawing character art and have now decided to change your goals. Steer your ship wherever you want to take it. Please remember that this is actually important. Do not skip your self-reviews. Else, you'll be drawing around randomly without realizing that you're not improving as much as you could have. So far, I've shared the core technical strategies that I use to learn art. So I'll move on to my 3 personal approaches on learning art, starting with: imagine you're a lumberjack. If you make 1 cut on 1,000 trees, you're unlikely to see much progress. But if you focus on 1 tree and make 1,000 cuts, you'll see results much earlier. The same concept applies to learning art, or honestly learning anything for that matter. If you try to learn to draw a million things, it's difficult to deepen your mastery quickly because you're spreading your time and efforts thin. But if you focus on mastering to draw 1 thing at a time, you'll see improvements much faster. And this is more important than you think. Why? Because seeing results in the early stages will give you the motivation to keep going. Just to be clear, I'm not telling you to draw only 1 thing for the rest of your life, but I recommend you to focus on learning 1 objective at a time, Remember again the objectives in section 1, especially in the early stages as a beginner. Let's say for the first month, focus on mastering to draw only one objective. For me, I focused heavily on drawing the head and a little bit of the hair, okay. Specifically for anime girls. Sounds familiar? PewDiePie also min-maxed on anime girls in his first 100 days. Now, what about the fundamentals? This might be a hot take, but I believe you should neglect your fundamentals. Okay, I'm joking, but only half joking. Imagine you're starting your art journey, and for the first month you only draw lines, circles, boxes, or what have you to build your fundamentals. Now, I don't know about you, but that's boring to me. Because you're not making cool illustrations that you like, you risk losing motivation, unless you have incredible willpower, that is. Or you really like boxes for some reason. Fundamentals are important, but don't just do the fundamentals. Plus, you can keep practicing your fundamentals as you progress through your art journey anyway. And to me, that is a more fun and sustainable way of progressing in art. Now that you've understood min-maxing, I will move on to my second hot take on starting your art journey. To improve your art, you need to keep sucking. Alright, let me explain, hear me out. When you're well into your art journey, you will get good at drawing certain things or get comfortable drawing a certain way. And that will lull you into a comfort zone, where you are less likely to venture out and try to learn new things. If you're satisfied with that, honestly, you can just bing chilling. But if you're not satisfied and you want to improve even more, then you need to snap out of it and seek out the suckening. Here's my personal example. Early on in the art journey, I got really comfortable drawing faces that I realized I unconsciously avoided drawing the full body because I sucked really bad. Like, I sucked hard. But I don't want to draw only faces for the rest of my life. So I had to snap out of it and embrace the suckening. Just remember, when you're starting to study new things, you will suck. But now you know that it's not a bad thing. It's just an indicator that you're starting your mastery in a new topic. You're venturing outside of your comfort zone, and that's awesome. So remember that mental cue, sucking is good. You're welcome. When it comes to how often you want to suck, that's really up to you. It's a balancing act between deepening your mastery at certain elements and constantly sucking at new things. For me, once I feel like I haven't really made much improvements at a certain topic recently, or if I have no concrete plans on how I can improve while learning a certain topic, then I seek out to suck new things instead. And now you've learned 6 strategies that I use to learn art. While giving it all to your studies is important, you also need to maintain your motivation by doing this very next thing. I know you want to click off already because everybody knows how to take a break. But most people don't know when to take breaks, or worse, why they should take breaks. Or even worse, they think they know, but they don't. There will be moments where you don't feel like drawing, or when you want to draw but you don't exactly want to draw anything in particular. You just can't find that inspiration. That is when you need to take a break. Creativity is a finite resource. Art is an expression of your thoughts, ideas, or feelings. And when you've poured your creativity tank into your art, you also need time to fill it back up. Read books, watch movies, observe your environment, and so on. There are so many things you can do. Look for activities or consume various medias to draw inspiration for your art. No pun intended. From my personal experience, allowing yourself to take breaks is crucial. Throughout the many times I tried to learn new skills, I found out that it is much easier for me to stay committed if I cut myself some slack every once in a while. Failing to commit every once in a while is fine. Things like school, work, or life just gets in the way sometimes. Being too harsh or too strict on yourself is no good if it dampens your spirit to learn. If drawing is your passion, do you not want to draw 5, 10, 20 years from now? Remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint. Keep that flame alive and don't let it burn out. Now, what about the Draw Everyday Challenge? Even though I'm drawing almost every day for the past 6 months, I honestly do not recommend doing this. There's really no point to it. Giving yourself time away from drawing allows you to process and internalize what you have learned. And when you return to your studies, you will have a fresh mind and perspective. As long as you can carry out study sessions even semi-consistently for a prolonged period of time, The results won't betray your efforts. And of course, make sure you learn mindfully, applying all the strategies I talked about before. Now that you have learned these strategies, I hope they can be useful for your art journey. Good luck and Godspeed to you and your art. I live stream art here every day on YouTube. I'd be happy if you drop by, share your art journey progress, and let's accompany each other on our art journeys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.